what do you think is important for your investment company in 2017? Bruce?
Well, I think dividends are always important. They sort of come in and out of fashion. In certain markets, they're not regarded as that important, such as Japan and the United States. But I think for a lot of individual shareholders who own investment trusts, dividends are very important. What we do know is that in the last few years, companies have not been investing. CapEx has been very, very low in this cycle relative to previous times. And we do know in certain markets that dividend coverage now is very, very stretched. So we have to look deep into companies, make sure they have a lot of free cash flow, make sure they're still investing for the future, but have surplus cash to return to shareholders. Because higher yields don't mean you get the dividends. Often the higher the yield, the more chance the dividend will be cut. So it's all about balance sheet strength, and it's all about seeing companies with a desire, a will to return cash to shareholders, and that's what we'll be looking to capitalise on this year.
Well, dividends are very important for our shareholders. A lot of them choose the investment company structure because of our income advantages when it comes to dividends, our ability to pay dividends year in, year out, increasing them.
Correct.
Peter, what's important for your company?
I think from every year is going to be different in terms of the macro influences and what's going on in the markets as a whole, but really we have to focus a smaller companies fund on the individual companies we're invested in. So we have around about 200 individual investments, including some fund holdings. It's about making sure that we pick more winners than losers, obviously, and try and outperform the benchmark the same as ever against the backdrop that we face from a macro point of view. I think the other thing, obviously, which we haven't really talked about so much, is for next year. I think it's very important for the markets as a whole that we don't see trade protectionism movement strike across the markets and impact on global growth, because certainly from the small cap point of view that would be very unhelpful if we were to see protectionism taking hold across the markets.
I mean, there's a lot of concern with Trump that might emerge.
I think it's it's too early to say really how it's all going to play out. I think we're seeing daily news is coming out on a day-by-day basis, which seems to be somewhat contrary to previous indications around policy in relation to individual sectors as well. So I think
seems to depend on his latest tweet.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what comes through. But from a small company's point of view, it really does come back to individual fundamental analysis of the individual companies, as Bruce says, looking for cash generative companies that can generate good cash flows, that can pay out good dividends. And our fund has got a 46-year track record of dividend growth, which we want to try and maintain. So hopefully those dividend flows do continue to come through.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of our shareholders will be very keen to hear that and be looking for those dividends to come through. James, what's important for your company?
That I work hard. Because in the UK, just take the UK market, there are probably 1,000 companies that we could invest in, and there are going to be some very big winners in there. And it's to not get down too much by reading the papers in the morning, but actually looking at companies and company reports. There'll be some substantially successful businesses on AIM, for instance, coming through in the next few years, and to be involved in some of those in their fundraisings over the next year. So it's hard work, getting out of the office, not being hit too hard, worrying too much about the forces from outside, because good management teams with good products that are providing excellent service will come through and grow, and we need to be involved in them.